You have reached Wrestling's Authority Review. I'm your man, Red Steele, and today I'll be reviewing from Transformation of the Primes, Brawl. Transformers Age of the Primes Brawl. But before I get into the actual review, I just want to go over some of the spectacular details on this packaging. Up front here, to most show with the figure and all its accessories inside. In the top corner here it says, more than meets the eye. Below that you have the Autobot symbol. Down here you have 3 of 5 Bruticus. Middle it says it takes 23 steps to transform him. And on the bottom you have an 8+, which is an age requirement for this figure. On the other side of the packaging you have 2 beautiful illustrations of Brawl, both in his robot mode and in his tank mode. Across the bottom here it says Transformers Age of the Primes. In the corner here it says Combaticon Brawl. You know the corner here you have the Hasbro emblem. Top of the packaging here, again you have Combaticon Brawl. In this corner this time you have the Takara Tomy logo. On the other side of the packaging here, on the very top it says 3 of 5 Bruticus, collect to combine. Middle here you have a beautiful illustration of Bruticus, and down there it says Transformers Age of the Primes. And on the very bottom you have Combaticon Brawl. The other side of the packaging here, on the very top it says till all are one. In the middle here you have a beautiful illustration of some of the Primes. Down here again you have Transformers Age of the Primes. And over here it says it is a Voyager class figure. In the back of the packaging here, on the top corner here you have Combaticon Brawl. Over here it says 3 of 5 Bruticus, collect to combine. In the middle here you have all the figure's features such as Brawl in his robot mode, Brawl in his tank mode, and over here it says it takes 23 steps to get there. And over here you have the More Than Meets the Eye authentic logo. In the corner here you have the Hasbro emblem. Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class Combaticon Brawl. Brawl was released December 2025 with the suggested retail price of $42.99 and is available at all major retailers. Brawl was released along with the other Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class Wave 4 figures, Amalgamus Prime, and Rhaegar. Brawl is a Generation 1 inspired figure that converts to his tank mode in 23 steps. His accessories include his double cannons, his blaster, and instructions. Brawl stands 5.5 inches tall, and he is meant for fans ages 8 and up. Now I'm going to go ahead and convert Brawl from his robot mode all the way to his tank mode. But the first thing you always want to do for your Transformers, you want to remove all the weapons and accessories. I'm going to take Brawl's blaster here, put this off to the side. So first in the transformation, you have Brawl's arms right there and right there. You have a hinge shot right there and right there. You want to bring his arm up just like that. Do that to your side to bring his arm up just like that. So step number 2, on the inside of his forearm, you have this panel right there and right there. You have a hinge shot right there and right there. You want to take this panel now, you want to flip it over his fist just like that. Do that to the other side of that panel and flip it right over his fist just like that. So step number 3, on his shoulders here, you have this tank tread right there and right there. You have a hinge joint right there and right there. What they want to do is take the tank tread now, flip it forward just like that. Do that to the side of that tank tread and flip it forward just like that. So step number 4, you have this chest panel right here. You have a hinge joint right there. You want to take that chest panel, you want to bring it down just like that. So step number 5, you want to take Brawl's head now and push it right into his chest just like that. So step number 6, you want to take that chest panel now, you want to close it back up just like that. So step number 7, you want this entire arm piece now, you want to swing it forward just like that. Do that here, take that whole arm piece and swing it forward just like that. And step number 8, you have this whole chest piece right here. You got a hinge joint right there, you want to take this whole chest piece, you want to flip it up just like that. So step number 9, right at the waist, you want to take this whole entire top piece and rotate it all the way around just like that. Step number 10, on the bottom of Brawl's feet, you have a panel right there and right there. You have a hinge joint right there and right there. You want to take this panel and slightly bring it out just like that. Do that to your side of that panel and slightly bring it out just like that. Step number 11, at the front of Brawl's leg, you have another panel right here and right here. At the top of that panel, you have a hinge joint right there and right there. You want to take that panel and open it up just like that. Do that to the other side of that panel and open it up just like that. Step number 12, you have this top panel here. You have a hinge on it right there. You have a tab and porthole. We'll take that top panel and swing it down just like that. Do that to the other side of that panel, swing it down, and tab it in place just like that. So step number 13, on the inside of Brawl's legs, you revealed a tread panel right there and right there. You have a hinge joint right there and right there. And we'll do that tread panel and bring it out just like that. Do that to the other side of that tread panel and bring it out just like that. So step number 14, you have an outside tread panel right there and right there. You have the hinge joint right there and right there. Once you that tread panel, swing that all the way out just like that. Do that to the other side of that tread panel and swing it all the way out just like that. Step number 15, you have that hinge joint right there and right there. Once you that tread panel now and straighten it out just like that. Do that to the other side of that tread panel and straighten it out just like that. So step number 16, you have Brawl's legs right there and right there. You have some tabs on this side, you have some portholes on that side. You want to bring the two leg pieces together and tab them together just like that. Step number 17, you want to flip Brawl all the way over. You have these extended tread pieces right there and right there. You have a hinge joint right there and right there. Look at that tread piece and swing it all the way up just like that. Do that to the other side of that tread piece and swing it all the way up just like that. So step number 18, on the inside of the tread piece you have some portholes right there and right there. Inside of Brawl you have a tab right there and right there. Look at these tread pieces to tab right into place just like that. Do that to the other side of that tread piece and tab it right into place just like that. This is step number 19. We'll flip Brawl all the way over. You have this panel right here. You have a hinge joint right there. We're going to take this panel and push it right into place just like that. So step number 20, you have Brawl's arms right here and right here. You have that hinge joint at the very top right there and right there. We're going to take that arm piece and bring it down just like that. Do that to that arm piece down just like that. This is step number 21. You have a hinge joint right there and right there. I'm going to take Brawl's arm piece and bring it up and forward and tab in place just like that. Do that to the other side of the arm piece up just like that. Step number 21, you have this panel right here. I want to take that panel and tab it right into place. You want to make sure this little tab goes into the side just like that. Again, you got that tab right there. You want to make sure it goes right in there. And you got a tab and a porthole right there. Make sure everything kind of goes right into place just like that. So the 23rd and final step, we'll flip Brawl all the way over. You have this front tread piece right there and right there. You have a hinge joint right there and right there. We're going to take this tread piece and bring it in and tab in place just like that. Do that to the side of that tread piece and bring it in just like that. And now you have Brawl in this full tank mode. Now that I have Brawl in this tank mode and on my display table, so I'm going to go over some of his play features and accessories. First, I talk about his double cannon. And just like the name implies, he comes with two of these cannons. And according to the instructions, there's a way to arm Brawl with these cannons while he's in his tank mode. You do that because on the bottom of the cannon right here, you have his tab. Back of his tank, you have a couple portholes right there and right there. Take that cannon and plug it right in one of those portholes, just like that. Do that to the other side. Grab that other cannon, plug it into the other porthole, just like that. And now you have Brawl armed with his double cannon. Very, very cool. The next accessory I'm bringing in, this is more of an undocumented way of arming Brawl, but you bring in his blaster. On his blaster, the handle is actually a 5mm peg. On the top of his turret right here, you have a 5mm porthole. Take that blaster, you plug it right into the top of the turret, just like that, and now you have Brawl fully armed while he is in his tank mode. And this is not really a documented feature in the instructions, but in the Generation 1 cartoon series, Brawl does have a little blaster that attaches to the top of his turret. He's got the double cannon right here, and he's got that tank barrel right there, so he's like fully armed and he's menacing. And normally I'm not a big fan of arming my Transformers while they're in their alt mode, unless it plays in a part of the transformation, which it does in this case. If you're wondering what an alt mode is, an alt mode is anything that's not the robot mode. This is a vehicle mode, an animal mode, and Brawl's case, a tank mode. And it's very, very cool. And if you notice, if you look in the barrels of the cannons right here in the turret, you notice that there's little portholes right here, and those are for blast effects. So you can actually fit the smaller blast effects in those barrels right there. Very, very cool. And the nice thing they did with Brawl was they added the addition of having some swivel to the turret, which was taken away from the Combiner Wars version of Brawl, but it was in the original Generation 1 version of Brawl. But the Generation 1 version of Brawl, that barrel did not go up and down, which was a feature that was put into the Combiner Wars version of Brawl. So pretty much, what each figure was lacking, they put all into this figure. Nice addition they added to this figure. And I noticed lately with figures with a lot of treads and landing gears, they took away the wheels and they added wheels back on a Brawl, which I really appreciate, because I mean, you could actually roll them on some smooth surfaces, but I would not recommend rolling Brawl on any abrasive surfaces, because you do risk causing some mold damage to the actual wheel, because the wheel is made out of plastic. And this tread here is kind of low to the ground, so you do risk causing some damage if you roll it across some concrete. So I wouldn't really want to do that, because these figures are pretty expensive. They're very collectible, and they run in very limited production runs. But I'm going to go ahead and bring my Generation 1 Brawl out, because Generation 1 Brawl is a fantastic figure too. I mean, you get that double cannon right in the back here, which is huge and menacing, which is another design feature that carried on with the Age of the Primes version of Brawl. I love that the color schemes are very close. And like I mentioned earlier on, you get the wheels on the bottom of the treads, which is a design feature they had with Generation 1. A lot of the Generation 1 figures had little wheels, regardless if they had treads or landing gears. They all had rolling wheels, like the roll across surfaces. I mean, the tank barrel does not go up and down, but the turret does go from side to side. But Combiner Wars version of Brawl was the opposite. You had the barrel right here that went up and down, and it also works as a blaster also, which is pretty cool about Combiner Wars, because the weapons do store onto figures, or they do play into the transformations too. But the turret does not go from side to side, because it's a little hinge right back here. And I guess that's maybe a design element that was put into Brawl to kind of make it easier for him to combine the Bruticus, be an individual robot and a vehicle too. And with all this trial and error, they're able to engineer these two figures into this figure, which is fantastic. I mean, with trial and error too. I mean, you look at all three figures, all three tanks are cool. I mean, the Generation 1 is Generation 1, and it's this very basic tank, very cool looking. And you have Combiner Wars, where they kind of tried to make it as modern as possible. I mean, there's lots of great mold detail on the Combiner Wars version of Brawl. You have some awesome, tread detail here. You get the wheels. It's a very nicely done figure, but it's not Generation 1 to me. But Age of the Primes went back to the root. They went back to the anime model from the Generation cartoon series. They designed a great tank. I mean, in my theory with a lot of the Generations toy line, if you don't know what the Generations toy line incorporates, it's War for Cybertron, Legacy, Studio Series, anything that is a Hasbro Pulse exclusive or HasLab. They scaled everything where it's consistent, where any figure can use anyone's weapon, and they were more consistent with like Voyager class, Deluxe class, where when you watch the cartoon series, you'll notice that a lot of the scaling is consistent. Well, the Generation 1 toys, scaling was all over the place, even with the Combiner figures. I mean, you got the leaders of the Combiners, which were a lot larger than the actual team members, because the team members were limbs. So, I mean, the proportions were way off. Well, with the Generations toy line, they kept them more consistent. They were getting there with Combiner Wars and I'm not sure what the series is called, but with Combiner Wars Titans Returns, they brought the scale up and they tried to stay consistent, but they went ahead and they just revamped everything with the War for Cybertron series. So pretty much every figure from War for Cybertron on, they pretty much are going to make in this consistency with the Generations toy line. I'm going to go ahead and take Combiner Wars Brawl and put him off to the side and save for Generation 1 version of Brawl. So I do want to talk about Brawl himself. He's a great looking figure, lots of great mold detail. Like I said, the inclusion of the wheels is a huge bonus, because that's something they kind of got away from with the Generations toy line. I love the fact that they have little portholes in the barrels right here. Love that the barrel goes up and down. You get the rotation, so you have lots of points of articulation, even the vehicle mode. The tank looks menacing, lots of great mold detail, and they kept it kind of basic too, so it kind of matches up with the anime model from the Generation 1 cartoon series. I do love the fact that they did the double barrels separately. Not like the Generation 1 toy, where it's one big barrel that goes up and down. It's kind of cool that you have the option of using these two cannons in different directions. It's very cool. I'm going to go and rotate them around so you can see what it looks like from all angles. And so far, what I've seen from all the Combaticons, they look really fantastic. Vortex and Blast Off are top notch in both modes. Very faithful to the anime model from the Generation cartoon series, as is Brawl. I'm just really excited about Swindle and Onslaught coming out. And I know a lot of people have griped about Bruticus, and Bruticus is going to be a separate review once I acquire all 5 Combaticons. But I know from experience that you can't really judge it by the production shots, because when you have the figure on hand, like I did with Devastator and Superion, I won't make any judgments of Bruticus until I have him in my hand myself. Now that I got Brawl in this robot mode and on my display table, I once again want to go over some of his plate features and accessories. First of all, I talk about his double cannons. And according to the instructions, it's going to arm Brawl with these double cannons while he's in his robot mode. You do that by turning Brawl all the way around. You have this backpack right here, which is actually the tank turret. I'm going to rotate it so the barrel's facing down, just like that, which exposes 2 portholes right there and right there. You want to take that cannon now. On the cannon, you have a little tab right there. You want to plug it right into that porthole, just like that. Do that to the other side, to the other cannon. Plug it right into the other porthole, just like that. And now you have Brawl armed while he's in his robot mode. Very, very cool. And I love the fact that these turrets, or these cannons, have little portholes on the end of them. So you plug in those little blast effects in there, so it looks like Brawl blasting away some Autobots. Very, very nicely done. But also, according to your instructions, there's a way to store these double cannons on Brawl while he's in his robot mode. You do that by unplugging these cannons, just like that. I'm going to take this turret now, you want to rotate it so the barrel's facing up this time, with those same portholes on the bottom here. You want to take the cannon, but it's using the bottom plug, you want to use the front plug right there. You want to plug it right into the turret, just like that. Do that to the other side, you go and plug it right into the turret, just like that. And now you have both his double cannons stored while Brawl is in his robot mode. But personally, I'm not a big fan of storing my weapons on my Transformers while they're in the robot mode, because why store them when you can arm them and they look much more menacing, fully armed and ready for battle on your display shelves. So I'm going to go ahead and take these cannons and put them off to the side. But the next accessory I want to bring in is his blaster. And according to the instructions, he's going to arm Brawl with this blaster while he's in his robot mode, because the handle of the blaster here is actually a 5mm peg. Each one of his fists is a 5mm porthole. You just take that blast and plug in either one of his fists, just like that. And now you have Brawl armed with his blaster. Very, very cool. And Brawl is very, very nicely done. I mean, he's not the best out of the 3 Combaticons I've reviewed so far, but he's very, very nicely done. And I've always liked Brawl, because I thought he was a cool character. You know, very simplistic, very strong, and just very menacing looking, very bulky looking. This Brawl is not as bulky looking as the one from the anime or from the Transformers cartoon series, but he's still nonetheless a cool figure. Kind of wish they did something about this hollowed out space in the back of the leg, but nonetheless, it's still a pretty cool figure. I mean, he's lots of points of articulation, and he doesn't really deviate too far away from its source material, the Generation 1 toy. I mean, Generation 1 toy is very, very basic. I mean, he's scaled down. I mean, with the scaling consistencies with the Generations toy line, like I mentioned earlier on, they scaled them up, so they're more consistent with each other. So Onslaught's not towering over the rest of the Combaticons. I mean, they're very, very close in scale with each other, because that's the way they engineered it. And engineering has improved much in the 40 years between Generation 1 to Age of the Primes. But like I said, this Brawl is very faithful to the anime model from the Generation cartoon series. And my whole theory behind the Generations toy line is they went ahead and they want to kind of keep the robot looking as close as it could to the animated model. Then they engineered the alt mode from it, which is the tank. And they did a great job in both modes, and all the modes for the Combaticons look great so far. You know, I haven't seen too much of Swindle lately. I know a lot of people are griping about Bruticus being too bulky, but like I said, I'm not going to make my judgment until I have Bruticus on hand, because Devastator, Menasor, and Superion all look fantastic in my eyes. So I'm sure Bruticus will be just fine. There's just some engineering changes I wish they would have made, where the actual vehicles become the limbs instead of attaching it to the Onslaught's additional parts, like they did with Superion and with Menasor, which I can see why they did that with Menasor. I don't know why they did that with Superion, but Superion's individual jets do become the limbs. But I'll get into that review once I get all 5 Combaticons together to form Bruticus, and I'll have a Bruticus review dedicated just to him. But right now I'm going to talk about Brawl, because Brawl's a cool figure, lots of great points of articulation, and I mean he's a vast improvement over Combiner Wars. Combiner Wars was terrible. I mean, he's very flimsy. I mean, you look at the arm here, it looks like, you know, they just barely did anything with his arm here, just a hollowed out piece of plastic on a ball socket joint. very flimsy. Just not a great figure whatsoever. I mean, this is probably the worst Brawn they ever made. I mean, Generation 1 Brawn is way better than the Combaticon Wars Brawn. I mean, cosmetically he's alright, but I think he serves his purpose as one of Bruticus's limbs, and that's all I really left him in, was his combined form. I never really looked at him in his individual robot mode, and I can see why now. He's just not a great figure. He feels very knockoff-ish, and I know they are knocking off these figures here, but the Combaticon Wars Brawl is not a great figure, so I'm so glad that they went ahead and they went from scratch with this version of Brawl and went back to the source material, which is the animated Brawl from the Generation cartoon series. I mean, the transformation is a little complex with the flipping of the tread, as you saw, but still, he's still a great figure. I'm going to go ahead and put Combaticon Wars and Generation 1 version of Brawl off the side, and you know what stinks is, I've had this figure for years. He's in mint condition. He feels like he's brand new. And when I transformed him, I broke the top of him, which kind of made me cringe a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to be able to glue it back into place, but I mean, this figure was in such pristine condition that I don't even know I can replace with a better version of Brawl, but I'll see what I can do. But getting back to Age of the Primes version of Brawl, great figure. I mean, lots of points of articulation. You have knee articulation. You have the thigh swivel. You have the hip up and down all around. You don't have too much toe-wise. The toe articulation, you just have the front and back. You have, like, you know, elbow articulation. You have the bicep swivel. You don't really have any fist articulation. So this figure is very limited on articulation. You do have shoulder, you know, goes in and out, and it kind of has that weird engineering where it comes out like that, but it goes up and down, in and out. And you got the bicep swivel, butterfly joints. You got the ball socket joint for the head, but the head's very limited too because of the engineering. But nonetheless, he's still a great figure, and he's probably my definitive Brawn, to be honest with you. Because I mean, you saw Combaticon Wars version of Brawl. I mean, I have the video game version of Brawl. I forget what that's called. War for Cybertron version of Brawl. But I mean, that's far in comparison to Generation 1 version of Brawl, because that version of Brawl is a version of Brawl in its own, and I didn't really bring them out for the sake of this review, because I'm trying to stick to the Generation 1 version of Brawl, which I do feel Combaticon Wars kind of used Generation 1 as its source material. Then I also had the Generation 1 version of Brawl that I brought out, but I felt that bringing all three generations of Brawl to kind of see the escalation and the engineering and the design of the figure, how it's improved, how the articulation, how, you know, it's very faithful to the animated model from the Generation cartoon series. And I'm sure there might be another one after this one that's much closer to what we have right here. But as of right now, that's the closest I'm going to get to Generation 1. And he is my definitive Brawl as we speak, and I can't wait to finally get my hands on Bruticus. But if you guys found any of the information in this review valuable, please like and share this video. Also, if you really enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel. And while you're there, click the bell to be notified of any future videos. I want to thank you guys for watching Red Steele's Toy Collector Review. I'll check you guys out next time.